All right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling a really huge question, one that affects, well, every single one of us on this planet. When is our population going to stop growing?
So just to ground us in the here and now, right at this moment, there are over 8 billion of us. I mean, just think about that. 8 billion people. We only just hit that incredible milestone back in late 2022. But here's the thing, it's not really about the number right now. The real story is where we're headed. Are we just going to keep growing and growing forever? Or is there, a ceiling, a peak on the horizon? And if there is, when does it all level off?
Well, as it turns out, the experts who spend their lives studying this, they don't all agree. So what we have are two major competing visions for our future. You can think of it as the official forecast squaring off against a pretty serious challenger.
So, in one corner, you've got the United Nations. They're predicting we'll top out at a staggering 10.4 billion people. But in the other corner, a big study from the University of Washington, backed by the Gates Foundation, says, not so fast. They're putting the peak much lower, at 8.8 billion. Get this, that's a difference of 1.6 billion people. That's more than the entire population of China or India today. That is a massive disagreement.
Okay, so let's break down the UN model first. Here's how they see it playing out. We hit 8.5 billion by 2030, we keep climbing to 9.7 billion by the middle of the century, and the peak, that doesn't even happen until sometime in the 2080s at that 10.4 billion mark. And only then, as we're heading into the 22nd century, do things finally start to dip.
Yeah, and when you see it on a chart like this, it just hits different, Look at that cap. That's that 1.6 billion person chasm we're talking about. It really shows you just how tricky it is to predict what's going to happen over the next 80 years or so.
And the key takeaway here is that the University of Washington study isn't just quibbling over the final number. They're suggesting our population could peak much, much sooner and at a significantly lower level. And think about what that means. A lower, sooner peak paints a completely different picture for everything, from resource needs to our impact on the planet for the rest of the century.
So you might be asking, why? Why are both of these models, even though they disagree on the peak, still predicting that growth will slow down and stop? Well, the answer for both of them comes down to a fundamental global shift in one single crucial number.
This is it. This is the number that drives this entire conversation. Seriously, this little number is the key to the whole thing. 2.1.
So what is 2.1? What's the big deal? Well, it's what scientists call replacement level fertility. And basically, it's the average number of births per woman that a population needs to just replace itself from one generation to the next. Think of it like this. If the average is above 2.1, the population grows. If it dips below it, it eventually starts to shrink. Simple as that. And here's the really wild part. This isn't just happening in a few wealthy countries here and there. Nope, this is a global thing. Right now, our population is growing slower than at any time since 1950. And, incredibly, 2/3 of every single person on Earth already live in a country where the birth rate is below that 2.1 replacement level. That's huge. And this isn't some flash in the pan. We've got a quote here from John Wilmoth, who's the director of the UN's Population Division, and he basically says that the long-term built-up effect of these lower birth rates is what's going to cause this massive slowdown later this century. The ball is already rolling, and it's picking up speed.
Okay, so we've got these two big forecasts, right? Both are based on this idea of falling fertility. Seems pretty cut and dried. But, and this is a huge but, both of these very sophisticated forecasts are making one gigantic fundamental assumption.
They're assuming that we humans are going to stay in the driver's seat because there is a massive wild card on the table, a variable that none of these population models were ever designed to handle. And that wild card is artificial intelligence.
And we're not just talking about smarter chatbots here. We're talking about the concept of the technological singularity. And what that means is a hypothetical moment in the future when technological growth just goes vertical. It becomes uncontrollable, irreversible, and it changes human civilization in ways we literally cannot foresee. So how far off is this? Decades? Centuries? Well, here's where it gets a little crazy. We're in a period of absolutely explosive AI development right now, and some serious analyses suggest the potential singularity isn't some far-off sci-fi plot. It could be on our doorstep by 2030. That's just a few years away.
And this brings us right back to our original question. What does this have to do with population? Everything. If an intelligence emerges that is way, way smarter than us, and we can't control it, what happens to all those carefully plotted charts about birth rates and life expectancy? They're out the window. The rule book gets torn up. All bets are off.
You know, we started this whole thing by asking a simple question. When will the human population peak? But the rise of AI completely reframes the conversation. It forces us to ask a much, much deeper and, frankly, more unsettling question. It's not just about us and our trends anymore. The real question for our future is, with AI on the rise, who, or maybe what, gets to decide what happens next?